So this is my fight prediction for Joshua Buatsi versus Willie Hutchinson. Should be a very good fight. Had my eyes on this fight for a while now. And with Willie Hutchinson, he's a guy that I was like at the point to where I was basically in Willie Hutchinson's last fight. I tried to pick him in his last fight, but I thought Richards was going to come out a little bit more. But for some reason, even though Willie Hutchinson is 25, I thought his last fight he was actually going to win. But the last minute I actually switched. And I just don't want to make that mistake in this fight. I think he's going to try to come out aggressive. And Willie Hutchinson, he's not a guy who's perfect or he's not a perfect fighter. Even though he fought Craig Richards, him and Craig Richards is not the same kind of fighter that Buatsi is. Buatsi has a more consistent jab. He's just a tougher fighter overall. He's more disciplined. Doesn't really let guys just get into his face like that. But at the same time, Willie Hutchinson has a style that's kind of different, man. Like his jab is pretty much consistent, just like anyone else. It's a power jab, but I feel like he has a lot of power in his right hand and his left hook. And a lot of people, he has very underrated power in his left hand, actually. I feel like with Willie Hutchinson. He can get knocked out, he can get dropped, but he's still a young guy. It's very hard to compete with a guy who's young like that can't let their hands fly. And he's a very good fighter. But will he be able to handle a guy like Buatsi? I don't know, man, because that Buatsi has a consistent jab. From what I've seen from Hutchinson, Richards did give him a lot of trouble with the jab. The counter punching was definitely a problem, but I feel like Hutchinson did a good job with his aggressiveness on Richards. And Richards was definitely not prepared for what he had to do. But that right hand was something that was very consistent. And what I've noticed from Hutchinson, too, is he switches styles a lot. He'll switch from southpaw to orthodox. And that gives people a lot of problems because he'll start using that right hand as a jab. And if he's in southpaw against a guy like Buatsi, I feel like he can use a lot of things to get over that that left hand. Buatsi drops his hands because a lot like Craig Richards does, but he jabs a lot more consistently. And he doesn't react to like the motions or feints like that. But I think Willie Hutchinson would do a good job against a guy like Buatsi. He just has to be able to go in, stand in the pocket, dodge a lot of shots. The jab cannot be in his face. He has to be able to counter punch and win the exchanges. Willie Hutchinson has to be able to counter punch and win the exchanges against a guy like Buatsi. And then with Buatsi, man, he's just very consistent. He's very disciplined. What I don't like is a lot of times he will let guys get shots off without immediately sending anything back. And I feel like if he lets people get too comfortable and confident like that, he can end up catching something. But I feel like his power is definitely a lot more powerful than Willie Hutchinson does. But the way Hutchinson uses his power, he kind of uses it at a perfect time. He doesn't come out using the power early. He'll kind of give you shades of it early on. Then towards the middle and late rounds, he's trying to go for consistent shots, power shots. Not really trying to lay down late in the rounds. He's trying to finish the fight off strong. So the stamina is going to be there. He's on the back foot a little bit, but he's still aggressive on his front foot. I think it's more so a rhythm thing than anything else. And when he throws that left hook from the orthodox stance, it causes a lot of problems. And with a guy like Buatsi, man, I just feel like he's going to cause a lot of problems to Hutchinson. A lot of problems. But it's going to be such a close fight, though. It really is, because Hutchinson is a guy who's going to be able to let his hands go. He's game. Has he got enough experience the last couple of years to actually put him in a position where he needs to be? Probably. But one thing I know is Hutchinson can't drop his hands against Buatsi because he has a very good left hook. and the right hand. When Buatsi lets that right hand go, it gets a lot of people in order. And that's one thing I've noticed. But the movement with Hutchinson is going to be very valuable. I feel like if you can keep a guy like Buatsi on his toes and moving around consistently and changing angles, it'll cause a lot of issues for Buatsi. And that's definitely how I feel. Not to say I feel like Buatsi is a very good fighter. I think he could possibly win this fight. You know, you got to pick somebody in these predictions. But I think this is going to be a decision fight. It's going to be very close. Possibly a split decision. I think Buatsi is going to dominate early on in the fight. And I think Hutchinson going to try to have to pull something out later on to get this fight. He's going to have to go to the body. The head hunting will not work. It'll work as far as scoring for the judges, but as far as slowing the opponent down, as far as Buatsi, it's not going to happen unless he goes to the body. And that's one thing I know. And the tactics as far as the grabbing, the clinching, and everything else, I don't know if he can rely on that against Buatsi just because, like I said, he's a stronger man. He's not really someone you can just try to go in there and bowl over and try to control. But I would like to see Hutchinson use his jab a lot more and a lot more counter punching. And I would like to also see Buatsi. Buatsi doesn't counter punch a lot. He will punch. He will send shots after back, but it's not something he will do just because, you know, he's not going to counter punch just to counter punch. He believes in his offense and his exchanges, and he's not going to slow down at all. He's going to keep it consistent, and it's going to be high-level boxing. I think it's going to be a close fight, man. I definitely think he's going to go to the body, and I feel like Willy Hutchinson will probably pull this out with a split decision. But that's all I got. Like and subscribe.